Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this video, I say hello to you. And you're welcome again to another one. We have an interesting personality in the film space who's going to be sharing her journey and her story. And I'm sure from the title of the video, you already have a clue who I'm speaking with. We're going to listen to her bio now and get straight into the interview. So stay tuned.
Karine Barclais is the founder of Pavillon Afriques, a groundbreaking platform launched at the Cannes Film Festival in 2019 to spotlight African and diaspora filmmakers on the global stage. With a rich background in international business, finance, and cultural promotion across Europe, Africa, and the UAE, Karen has long championed cross-cultural exchange and economic empowerment. Through Pavillon Afriques and initiatives like the Arts and Business Center Online Film School, she continues to drive visibility and opportunities for Africa's creative industries.
So there you have it. You've heard from her. We have here in the seat Madame Karine Barclais. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, it's a pleasure, and I'm so grateful. This has been a year in the making, and I'm so grateful that you've given me a bit of your time from your busy schedule to be here today and talk about your journey.
Yes, it's a pleasure. I don't know where you want to begin with.
We can start straight from the beginning. I know from your bio, we've heard a lot of your business pursuits. Where did you trace it together to say this is film and this is what I want to also pursue?
Well, it didn't happen like that at all. It was by pure chance that I went into the film industry. And I stayed by passion, because for me, it was an event like any other event. And the first time we had the Pavillon Afriques, people were crying. They were saying, "Oh, we finally have a home in Cannes. We have a home in Cannes." And I never expected any event to bring so much emotion, to bring tears. It had never happened to me before. And this is when I said, okay, I realized, the importance of that. It wasn't just an event. It was a milestone in the African film industry.
I've been following the festivals, film festivals generally, and the one of the top five, which is Cannes, and also getting to know the African filmmakers who have their films in there from year to year. And, finding Pavilion Afrique, I felt like I was home. I felt like, wow, this is all the information I would ever need. And I feel like that's exactly how other filmmakers or film people from across Africa feel. So thank you so much for putting this together.
Yeah, in fact, I'm very proud of that people feel so welcome, when they come to Pavillon Afriques. I receive messages, okay, I came to your pavilion and it was so welcoming, so warm. I felt at home. And this keep happening year after year, because people feel comfortable, they feel welcomed, and they feel that that's the place to be, in Cannes.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure some people heard about what, or everyone who's watching this, of course, has heard about what Pavilion Afrique is. But I would like you, in your own words, you as the person who, set this all up, to tell us what the main aim for creating Pavilion Afrique is.
I always thought that you have to be in the right places at the right time. And Cannes being one of the biggest festival, I think the second or the first film festival in the world, the most glamorous, as we would say, we French would say. I definitely think that we have to be in this arena, because a lot of people will say, okay, it's not for us. And a lot of people who came thought, okay, we would never think that we would have been in Cannes one day.
Right.
And now they are in Cannes. They came once, twice, three times, four, and sometimes six times. This year would be the sixth edition. So when you are in this kind of environment, everybody has the same objective: is to create collaborations and is stronger with people at Pavillon Afriques, because for them is new. You
Mm.
know, a lot of countries have been coming for 78 years,
Right.
since the festival came into existence.
Hmm.
But for Africans, most of the time, when in 2019, it was their very first time.
Mm.
You see,
Mm.
because it's difficult to get an accreditation, it's very selective. So I'm happy that I can, because of this pavilion, I can help people get into Cannes,
Yes.
something they wouldn't have been able to do without our help.
Absolutely, I agree. And because when you think Cannes, of course, it's like I mentioned earlier, it's top five. So as a small African filmmaker, I say small, but I put it in quotes, African filmmaker somewhere in Africa, just an independent filmmaker putting together their film and wondering how can I make it to the big stage. I mean, usually the advice you get is, oh, start small, think of the smaller festivals before you think of Cannes. But now having a platform like Pavillon Afrique, what would you say the impact has been for African filmmakers?
I think that it made them understand that they belong.
Mm,
They belong not only to Pavillon Afriques, but as film professionals, they belong to Cannes, they belong to Toronto, they belong to Berlin, they belong wherever they have to be. You understand?
yes.
Because it's not usually when you begin small, you stay small.
Mm,
Okay? So if your movie is good, why would you think that you only deserve small, very small festivals? Also, but we need everything, small and biggest festival. But what I mean is that uh, why wouldn't you dream big?
mm,
I have people
absolutely.
coming in May and they say, okay, it's our first film. Oh, maybe we'll find a distributor for our first film. Why wouldn't they dream? Because they can make it happen depending on their state of mind, if they talk to the right people, etc. You
Mhm.
never know what may happen. You never know, and this is what is absolutely extraordinary with this industry. Sometimes you have nothing and one day you have a lot because you met the right person.
Mm,
And
absolutely.
what I usually tell the governments as well as the filmmakers, people have to see you again and again, just begin to like you, to trust you, because unlike a lot of industries, the film one is tend to work with people they like,
True.
you know, or they come in contact with. How many times do you hear that? Okay, we met them about 5, 10 years ago. We always said we were going to do something together, and then the right time came.
Mm,
So you have to be there when the right time is there, because if you come once, you meet someone, and then you don't nurture the relationship, you don't see each other. Let's say that Cannes is like a rendezvous, you know,
true.
each year, you know that you're going to meet this person you had met the year before and the year, and then you begin to really create a relationship. And then when the time comes, maybe they will just call you and say, hello, I thought about you for my new project.
Mm, mm.
This is the kind of things we want to happen. The experience I like to tell is someone from the DRC, a producer from the DRC,
Okay.
Jean-Jacques Nsele. He met an actor at the Cannes Film with us about 2, 3 years ago, I think.
Okay.
I didn't know they were working together. They just like felt very comfortable. The year after, I called Jean-Jacques and I said, "Are you coming to Cannes?" And he was with the actor on set, and he said, "Wait, wait, wait, wait!" And he showed me. It's extraordinary, and they did the movie and helped them get distribution for it.
Amazing.
So in just 3 year time, they had time to meet, to shoot the movie, and to find distribution about almost 2 years later. I love this kind of stories.
Yes. Yes. And then we are very hopeful that we are going to have more and more of these stories. And we're going to get into the parts where I'm sure a lot of people who are watching now, especially African filmmakers, are wondering how can they be a part of Pavillon Afrique. But before that, I'd like to know a bit more about how your background kind of gave the Cannes Festival the confidence to, give you that platform. And how were you able to grab the opportunity? Because I'm sure it came with a conversation. Maybe you're talking to somebody and then it's like, oh, why don't you, how are you able to get into that space?
No, in fact, what happened is that someone asked me to work with them to do something in Cannes. They didn't know what they wanted.
Okay.
And then it fell through. And then the second person, it fell through. And then I said, okay, I can do it. I can do something that would be like me,
Okay.
you know. And I remember the first time I went and I met Canal Plus with
Okay.
the brochure about everything, what we're doing to do, etc. And I was so surprised that they said yes straight away, because I knew nothing about the film industry, absolutely nothing. I am a book person, so I'm very good at books, but to say, okay, about movies, nothing. But I knew how to set up an event, you know,
Mm.
and then they were impressed, with what I had put up, and I said, "Why are they impressed? It's just that the minimum, It's just like the normal thing to do if you want an event to take place and to be successful." So they became our partners for a few years, and it's just that um, I don't I don't think that I can't do something.
Mm.
You see, it's not like, oh, but I understand now that I've been doing it for a few years. I understand that if I had known about the film industry, I would have never done it for sure. I would have never done. I mean, this industry is crazy, absolutely crazy. Uh, yeah, I understand that people who are in the industry said, no, I'm not going to go this road, um, because I thought that the countries who didn't have a pavilion at Cannes would be happy just to come over and to participate and to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it never really happened.
Mm.
Apart from Uganda, Ivory Coast, and very few other countries, I cannot even think of them,
Yeah.
came forward and said, okay, we will participate financially, because we want things to happen, and they are bringing um, a delegation and so on.
Mm.
But what happened is that the film professionals, they understood from the start why they had to be there. Because the first year we were looking for funds just to pay for the pavilion, and then we didn't make um, concerted efforts just to talk to the filmmakers, you see, but they came and they keep coming and they kept coming and they keep coming
Right.
because they know why they have to be there.
Mm.
That's the reason. The government themselves, they haven't um, they still don't grasp the importance of the film industry. They see the show business, they see the show but not the business.
Mm.
And we are in the market where business happens, and it cannot be a one night stand. It has to be something that is thought and that is strategized. So when you come with a delegation, you understand that what you want,
Mm.
KwaZulu-Natal came a few times as well, the KwaZulu-Natal, and with really professionals that they want to really uh, put light on, you
Right.
know.
Mhm.
But sometimes in a lot of events, um, people want to come with their peers, like the government, a big government a delegation. I remember when I was working for a Dubai event, um, they always wanted to come like 30 people from the government. And
Mm.
I had to say no. And it was difficult to say, no, the minister is coming plus one. We don't need 30 people from the government.
Right.
Like that. And when you participate in this kind of event, you have to, bring the right people as well.
Mm.
Definitely bring the right people. And but I'm lucky the right people come by themselves. They find ways,
Mhm.
because it's quite expensive to can.
Yes. Yes.
It's very, I don't want to say quiet, it's very expensive.
Expensive. Yeah.
Accommodation is just, they multiply the prices by 10 just during the 12 days this period.
Wow.
Is I mean, it's a place where people from Cannes, they really make their money for the year, you
Mm.
know.
Okay.
So it's very expensive, but you can go a little further down. You can even be in Nice and take the train every day. The people make things happen when they want to do it. They make things happen, and when I see how they try, you know, it makes me feel like I must give something of value. I must
Mm.
bring value,
Yes.
because the filmmakers, they are doing their part. They are really doing their part. They
Mm.
show up, they make movies that are really great with very restricted budget, I would say,
Yes.
you know. And now we need African people who have the financial means to come over and help the film industry, you
Mm.
know, because it could be so much better if, they had some more money,
Absolutely.
because you see that they have their vision, of the movie, and because they don't have,
Budget.
I was watching a few projects here, because last year we did a call for projects, and sometimes they are making a movie with 10,000 euros,
Mm.
and they manage. I guess nobody's paid, you know,
Mm.
nobody makes money,
Yeah.
but they do things,
Yeah.
and this is so commendable.
Yes.
But structure, um, to improve this situation, I think that the countries should be working on that. A lot of countries are still doing it.
Mhm.
They are already doing it, like Kenya, Ivory Coast, um, also South Africa. They are really great. The structure is there. They are very good. But people come to our pavilion and they say, okay, I'd like to do something in DRC. I'd like to do something in Uganda. I'd like to do something. People, we have like over 60 countries represented as filmmakers,
Mm.
producers, etc. And the other producers, they come and say, okay, we'll either like to do something in Africa or with Africans, you
Okay.
know. And it's something that if the filmmakers weren't there, there would be no people. person just to say, okay, you have this person from Uganda, you
Yeah.
have this person from Kenya, you can talk to them. This is what we do as well, and they talk, and most of the time I don't know what happens, and much later, 2, 3 years, oh yeah, we did that together. Oh yeah, okay, great. But
Wow.
most of the time I have no idea. They live
Hmm.
their lives after that.
Hmm. Okay, so you are really interested in like the connections that are built, and you don't even, I find it interesting that you said that you don't really even know how it happens, but you are creating the platform for people to
Exactly.
meet, and whatever they choose to do with the time that they have or the platform is really up to them, and that's very
Exactly.
commendable. Thank you so much for that. Now I can see behind you there are some white, canopies. And I think that's the image that we're going to see if we are to attend the Pavillon Afrique. But I'd like you to give us a pictorial idea of what it looks like. Like you come to the Cannes Festival, where exactly is the Pavillon Afrique and how can it be accessed?
Okay, right behind me is the Pavillon Afrique, actually. You know,
Okay, so that's the
it's
Pavillon Afrique. Okay.
Yes, exactly. It's composed of three tents, you
Mm,
know, which are inside, are just one. But so it's a 75 square meter tent,
okay.
which is one of the biggest, because people who've been there, sometimes the country, they just need one little tent for meetings.
Mhm.
And we are different from the other tents because we organize a lot of events, you
Mm,
know, during, because the strategy has been from the start. People don't really know the African film industry. So they are not going to come to Cannes and say, okay, I want to know the African film industry. So we had to do things just to attract them.
right.
Okay, so we had like between 40 and 70 events during the 10 days.
Okay.
It's crazy. So I'm
Wow.
going to cut it down this year because it's just crazy doing 10 days to have so many events. So inside we have a place when we panel discussions, etc., where we also have screenings, workshops. This is the biggest part of the tent. People are sitting, and then you have a platform, and then we have a beautiful terrace, which is even bigger than the tent, right overlooking the big boats. You
Okay.
know, this is where we make our cocktail parties, where we do our networking. People just come and take a coffee and talk and discuss very freely, you
Mm.
know, and it's always buoyant, really, with people, except sometimes they're so tired. They never want to leave, actually. When all the other tents around us are closed, ours is still open, you know? It's
Yeah.
still open. Sometimes I feel like, okay, I want to go to bed, but people say, oh, we're good, we're good. And
Wow.
it's even very late. It's good to just sit there and talk to people and get to know, take a drink. And this is what it is about too.
Hmm.
You learn a lot, through the panel discussions, the master class and so on, but you also get to create your own network. And this is invaluable.
Mm. Yeah.
This, because now you go on the internet, you know that if you put your details, contact number, you will be connected with 1,000 people.
Hmm.
And it's not even real. There you have the real thing, you
Exactly.
know
Hmm.
and people don't play like, okay, I am so much bigger than you. I am so much more famous than you. They don't play that. It's not a game they play at Pavillon Afrique. They are just cool.
It's really exciting the picture you've painted about the Pavilion Afrique, and I'm sure anyone who's watching now would like to be a part of it and experience it for themselves, get to connect with like minds in the film industry. and across borders, of course, not only in Africa, of course, but of course, this is also our little corner at the not so little corner at the Cannes Festival. So, how does anyone watching now who is a filmmaker from Africa gets to be a part of Pavillon Afrique?
It's easy.
Mm,
You
okay.
just ask, you just have to register to the Cannes Film Festival.
Okay.
It's as easy as that, because once you have this pass, this badge, you can just go and to the pavilion.
Oh,
It's not complicated at all, except
interesting.
that it's very difficult to get the accreditation sometimes.
Ah, okay. Okay, so I think
This
that's
is the
where
only
the
thing.
whole issue is. Yes. So, how does one get accreditation? I mean, not all of us have the experience of going to the Cannes Festival or even trying to be at the Cannes Festival. So, if you could just please give us an idea of how it is to get accreditation to be at the Cannes Festival.
Well, just have to go on the website of the festival, and then you go select an accreditation, you register yourself, and then there are different categories. If you're an actor, if you are a director, a producer, and so on, and then you register, and then you wait for an answer,
Okay.
and they say yes or no.
Okay, so it entirely depends on the organizers of the festival.
Exactly, exactly. What I can do as as Pavillon Afrique is to provide at more interesting rate they call a visitors badge,
Okay.
which is for 3 days, and that cannot be renewed. But you can use it like the days don't have to be consecutive. So
Mm,
if you are in Cannes, you can be one day you go to the festival itself, the other day you go and you participate in events that are outside, but you need, it's really a pass, and Cannes makes it very exclusive. So yeah, you cannot just get in.
that explains the exclusivity and the prestige of the festival. So yeah, it is easy, but also not so easy.
I mean, you just have to apply, and within 10 days, they will tell you yes or no. So, I mean, why should you not do it? You see what I
Absolutely.
mean? If they
Yes.
say yes, you have to be prepared, to go. But the accreditation process opens on this year. It opened on the 3rd of February, I think.
Mhm.
Okay. So you have over 3 months to get ready after that.
Right.
So if you feel like, okay, next year I want to come, so you begin to get ready to think about your finances, what you're going to bring there, what you want to bring there, what you want to do there, what are your objectives, not just go to parties every night and and
Right.
not wake up for things, but once you know that, and the accreditation, sorry, are open, you just apply. You can be a young person, and for the first year you are accepted. It doesn't really have to do, because sometimes people with who are less senior don't get an accreditation, and they don't know why, and it just happens.
Right.
Okay, so I would say, don't be afraid, just apply.
Okay. You heard
That's
it
all.
from her. Don't be afraid, just apply and be confident that you will get accepted to be at the festival.
If you're not accepted this year, you'll be accepted next year. It doesn't reflect your value,
Mm,
whether you're accepted or not. It's just them doing their thing to make things exclusive. Okay?
yeah,
So if you're not accepted, you're not. It will be
absolutely.
next year.
Yes. And you just keep trying because, hey, if
It's worth being there. It's really worth being there.
Yes, I agree. So, filmmakers watching this right now, or film people, those who are in the media side of film, and you're very interested in being at Cannes, and especially at the Pavillon Afriques, just put in that application and you definitely prepare yourself to be at Cannes, the exclusive Cannes Festival. Now,
Exactly.
yeah, we've spoken at length about your business side. Okay, we didn't really talk much about it because everything was stated in your bio. But I mean, do you think that your background in business has kind of shaped how you see Pavilion Afrique, or how you've been able to run it successfully for the past 6 years?
Well, I mean, this industry is so different from whatever I've done before,
Mm,
you know. So it was just learning by doing. It was really that. And thinking that you would make it,
mm,
because one thing's happened, you didn't know that. I didn't know that. Oh, okay, this is how it works. Okay, now I know, you know. And
really?
something that I was very surprised by in the is just how long everything takes. I met people, they've been looking to produce a movie for 5, 7, 10 years. They have the idea, they create the script, they have everything, and they're looking for the funds. And sometimes they meet someone, says, okay, you have to change this, and then they go back again, changing everything. And then when they finish, they say, oh no, finally no. And it happens like by cycles.
Yeah.
And then 5 years have passed, 10 years have passed, and they are still looking to create this project. Of course, they do other things in the meantime, but
Mm,
it becomes like an obsession, because they feel that they want to do this project. So um, I think I, I am persistent. This is why I'm still doing it, you know? And I think that you have to have a vision.
mm,
I know what I'm doing is good for the film industry, you know? I know that it can be life-changing for a few people. And this is why, but I don't think my business background helped really, because I mean, funding a movie is not like funding a tech company or
yes.
people want to have uh, ROI, you
Mm,
know,
yeah.
and sometimes it's difficult to calculate the ROI just because if you have one movie, you think that it will work and it doesn't, or you feel that it won't work, maybe it will be just a niche and then it's a huge success. It's something like how people we see relate to what you do. So I'm sort of more brainy. So usually when I talk to people, I would show figures, I would say the reasons why they should buy this, when I was in the international business, why they should do it. And I could back my speech with figures, with, you know, something that has weight.
Mm,
Uh, while in the film industry doesn't really work that way. And you can understand that because, a filmmaker, sometimes he puts his soul in his projects, and then you come around and you say, even a producer, even if he's looking for money, and the producer says, okay, you have to change this, you have to change this. And then you say, okay, this is going too far. It's not my project anymore if you change so
right.
many things.
Yeah.
You see? So you have to handle things differently, you
Mm.
know? Yeah, definitely.
You made a comment about how you probably knew how the film industry worked. You wouldn't have decided.
No, I had no clue. I had no clue.
Oh wow.
6 months ago, 6 years ago, you would say, okay, I didn't have a clue. I would watch a movie just like anybody. I watch a movie I know nothing about. But I was lucky. Really, I was lucky because I talked to people
Mm,
and they were so happy just to help, with them. I was, raking their brains,
mm,
asking questions. I wasn't afraid of sounding stupid because
mm.
I was stupid. In it's not my industry. So I ask stupid questions. Things will seem to be very basic to certain people, you know,
It wasn't.
and but they were so willing to help, to answer my questions, to explain again things, and I like being challenged. I like being, I like when I don't understand something and finally, whoa, the
Yeah.
little bird understand. Okay, so that's okay, that something's done. And then you go for all the things that you have to grasp, all the things.
Mm,
And I like this because I am challenged very often. It's so complex, you know, and also there is another layer is that you hear what people say,
mm,
but underneath is something else.
mm.
Because I'm quite straightforward, When I want to say something, I just say the thing.
Say it.
So I had to learn to be patient. I think this is the worst part for me, being patient,
To be patient.
because I am not at all. I
Mm,
am not at all. When I was much younger, I used to pray God to help me. I was little, help me be
mhm.
patient because I'm not patient at all. I want to move things, go, 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 go. And there
Yeah.
you have to lay back and then
Yes,
and
especially
keep
when it comes to
going.
filmmakers, working
Yeah.
with filmmakers or creatives. Yeah.
Oh gosh, one day this, the other day something completely different. And when you deal with governments, it's always worse.
Mm,
It's worse sometimes.
mm.
So, but when you meet someone who is like-minded, and then you feel like, wow, it's great. I can really understand how it works. People feel like, okay, they can try to explain, how things work in a certain area,
Yes.
that you're not aware of. You think that things should be just straightforward, but they are not.
Yeah.
They are what you say and what you don't say, and what you don't say is more important than, the spoken
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
So I learn every single day and I like learning.
Mm.
So I am in the perfect spot.
That's awesome. I know you are in your perfect spot, as you say, but I'm sure there have been some challenges with this journey. Just to highlight it for anyone watching now who hopes to be in your position sometime to make impact in the creative industry they find themselves in. So I've spoken to a number of women filmmakers throughout, like interviewing people, not only filmmakers but people in the creative industry, and they always speak on some gender bias and some issues that affect women in the industry. And I'd like you to please, if you would, share with us how, if you've had any of those encounters and how you've been able to stay strong and still consistent.
Um, I know it exists in the industry. I know it's an issue. I know it's an issue that is not really dealt with in Africa. I know that. But myself, I can maybe it happened and the person thought that, they were just shunning me, but I don't really realize because I don't care what people think about me, actually. I've never cared about that. Um, I think that's something that my mom taught me, my parents taught me. Um, you know, there are people who love you, you
Mm,
know, There are people who are indifferent and there are people who hate you. And why should I care about people who are indifferent or who are... I don't know how to explain that. You know, these are things that don't touch me at all, really at all.
Okay.
It's just like they live in one part of the world and I live in my own world, you
Exactly.
know, because I feel that when you've been loved immensely by your parents, nobody can make you feel like you're unfit,
Mm.
you and whatever, you know, you're just yourself and so grounded in yourself.
Mm.
And I've always been in my past career like the only Black person in the room, you
Mm.
know, not in the
Mm.
room, in the entire company. You
Wow.
know, when I was working in Spain, and I was the only Black in the, I mean, the second biggest company in the country.
Wow.
But everybody knew about me. Of course, you know, they didn't have to explain, yeah, you know, this girl, blah, 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 blah. I know the Black girl. And I was a Black girl, you
Yes,
know?
yes, yes.
And I always feel like I have to do things well, very well. You know, I don't want someone, I don't need to be pushed, you
Mm.
know. So I would, most of my life, I have fought myself. I'm not fighting against other people. I am fighting against myself if I feel like I am too lazy. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do the extra mile, you know, and I decide to do it. So it's just
Mm.
me and I.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm sure anyone watching now, if you're a woman in the creative scene, maybe you can take a cue from here and dead the noise. Don't mind those who choose to hate you. Focus on those who love you and progress in your journey in the creative scene. Now
Exactly.
to round it all up, I'd like to ask what have you seen is the story of African films in Cannes from when you started the Pavillon Afriques? How has the journey been? Has there been an increase in the number of the African films that are, showing at the Cannes? And what do you think is the future for African film or cinema at Cannes?
It depends on the year. So 2 years ago, there were a lot of African films in
Yes.
Cannes. Everybody was saying, "Great,
Yeah.
we are finally recognized." There are so many, and the year after, there were maybe two films. You know, you cannot measure your success by comparing what you're doing to someone else. You know, so being selected at Cannes is great. It's a great achievement. You know, but sometimes they have their policy, they have their things, or the African films are not that great, you know, so you cannot measure it by the number of African films that are selected, but you can see the journey. If the films, there are more good films, you know, coming out to the world, and I think there are more. You see, they will go more on the platforms. There's still an issue here is in France, you don't have that many uh, African or Afro-descendant movies. But this next month, I think there are two movies from the West Indies, one from the Martinique and the other one from Guadeloupe. I think it's unheard of,
Wow.
unheard of. You see,
Yeah.
and I think it was last month there were two movies with black cast. You know, the story of Suleiman, and the other one was I don't remember the name. Okay, the name escapes me. But you know, more and more you have like an undercurrent, and then you see things are moving up, moving up, moving up, and then you know the idea is for the filmmakers to be able to live of their trade, not to fight so much, to have the possibility to do a first movie, to make a first movie, to do a second one, and to be recognized, not to have just one movie and then they disappear.
Yes.
You know, to have a career like Suleiman Sissé,
Oh.
that we will be giving a tribute to
Oh,
at
amazing.
Pavillon Afriques. Yeah, we will do that with his daughter,
Oh,
Fatou.
amazing.
Yeah, we will do that. And I think there is a long way to go.
Mm.
But the journey has begun a long time ago. It was slow sometimes, it just stopped sometimes, but we're coming there. We are coming there.
Absolutely, we're coming there. I don't know if these are your final words. It sounds like it because it's leaving me with a lot of hope. But if you have any final words to add to anyone watching now, I'm sure many African filmmakers are watching, and we also have people who are interested in film but are looking to get into other aspects of film, not just the traditional roles that we usually hear of. So, what would
Mhm.
be your final words to them?
I would say just support your Black filmmakers. Really, just okay, if you like Hollywood films, but just go to the theaters when there is a Black movie,
Mm,
you know, because it's the only way it can work. Just go support each other, go to the movies, rent out a movie, watch a movie on the platform, and make the numbers grow, because
mm,
this is how it works. Make the numbers grow. And then if you like this movie, maybe this producer, this director will be able to make a second one. And you will benefit from this. And it's your culture. You have to defend your culture.
yes.
You have to defend who you are and not get lost in others' culture. But others' culture is interesting because it brings something to your soul as well, but not it doesn't have to be detrimental to yours. This would be my last word.
Very well said by Madame Karine Barclais. I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you so much for speaking to me, speaking to
Thank
the
you.
audience, speaking to everyone who has the opportunity to listen. And we're grateful that we have a platform like the Pavillon Afriques at Cannes Festival. And if you happen to be attending the Cannes Festival this year, do make it a point to visit the Pavillon Afrique and enjoy some African films, interact with African filmmakers, and not only African but of African descent as well, because that's what Pavillon Afrique is all about. It's all about elevating the African film scene, then also the African diaspora film scene as well. So yeah, and hopefully we'll get a chance to be at Pavillon Afrique in the future, and we'll get to meet Madame Karine Barclais in person and interact better and push the narrative. We're also hopeful that we'll get a chance to interact with some of the filmmakers who have their film at the Cannes this year. So if we definitely do that, you would be informed, but you can only find out if you follow the channel to find out more about Pavillon Afrique and also AJ for short. Thank you, ma'am, again for your time.
Thank you, Alice. Take care. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And guys, we'll see you in our next video. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.